Hey guys, welcome to lesson 16 where we're going to be talking more about classes and objects, so we're kind of expanding on what we learned in lesson 15. So hopefully after today you'll have a better grasp of what we're trying to do with classes and objects. If you go on Moodle, you'll see where we have recipe.java. So if you just click on it, it just kind of opens, and that doesn't really help us. So what you need to do is right click and do save link as or save target as, depending on which browser you're using. And then go put it in your source folder for lesson 16. So wherever your workspace is, it's like workspace, lesson 16, and then the source folder. And it should say Java file, so go ahead and, oh, sorry, I clicked on it. So make sure it's called recipe in here. Make sure you spell it correctly. And then back in Eclipse, you go to File and then hit Open File and go to wherever you have it saved. And there it is. So now we have recipe open. So you'll notice that we do have some blanks in our recipe. But it's things that we've kind of seen before, like when we did circle. So public class recipe, we will talk today about what public means because you'll also notice we have some private in here too. So what we want is whatever this name is, that is our constructor. So right here, not the class, but where it says public recipe, this is our constructor. The class name and the constructor are different, but the constructor and the class name should be the same. That's how you can always find your constructor. Public void set servings. Set servings is a method. Get retail cost is a method. And price per calorie is also a method. And down here at the bottom we have our things that we can call by threes. So state variables or instance fields or data members. I mostly refer to them as state variables, but these other two are also correct. All right, so we're going to go back to lesson 16 and we're going to instantiate some things. And one of the things that you're going to have to start doing now whenever your one project connects to another project is in your header, we're going to say what you're supposed to use it with. So for use with recipe.java. Should have done that in lesson 15 too for use with circle.java, but this is where we're going to start doing this. So anytime you have two programs that work with each other, you need to have that in your header. All right, so since we're dealing with recipe, let's enjoy a thoroughly food themed project. So we're going to make a new recipe and we're going to call this recipe China. And we're going to say new recipe, open and close parentheses, and your semicolon. So now we are setting something to the recipe constructor. So let's go look at its signature so we know what to send it. So recipe wants a string. So we need to send our recipe a string name. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to set it a name and we're going to make meatballs. All right, and I'm going to save. And you do notice that we have an error here. So what does it say? That recipe cannot be resolved to a type. So if you look back at how we opened lesson 16, you notice that the error is coming from the fact that recipe does not show up in this list, despite the fact that it is in Eclipse. The way to fix it is to save, close Eclipse all the way, click yes to save changes, click yes, and then reopen Eclipse, and recipe should be in there, causing you no more issues. All right, now that we have that taken care of, let's figure out how much it's going to cost us to make meatballs. So the cost of meatballs is going to probably be a double, and we're going to name this one Giada equals Ina.cost. I don't know why it's spelling things for me. So this should work because cost was just a variable that we used in the recipe. But if you look at our cost down here in our state variables, notice that it says private. private things are only accessible in that program. So even though these two are connected to each other via recipe, we can play with cost in recipe, but not in lesson 16. If you look back at recipe, we also have price per calorie, which is a private. So this means that we can use it and manipulate it here inside recipe, but we can't access it from lesson 16. So you might be thinking, what is the gosh darn point of having things as private if you can't access them and you can't use them? So look at this public double get retail cost. Right here, we use the price per calorie. So we can use it in this program. We can return answers that are made with it. But like, we use private because, think about it, your teachers enter in your grades. They enter in grades for all of the students, but you only have access to yours. Yours grade is only public to you. It is private to everyone else because you don't want everyone else having access to your grades. Or maybe you do, I don't know, but we don't let you have that. So that's kind of the difference between public and private. So really, if you want to think about it like in Net Classroom standpoint, your teachers are having access to the recipe program. You guys only have access to the class that runs it. Okay, so I'm going to actually put this down here and just comment it out to be an error. So cannot access private from the nether code. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little throwback for you. So remember way back in like lesson 2 when we learned about declaring and initializing. So I'm going to use Control X on my keyboard to cut, and we're going to declare that Ina is of recipe type, and now we're going to actually create what Ina is in the next line. So this is when we actually create the object. So whenever you have equals new, this is where you create the object. It's not created here, it's just declared here. But the new object is created whenever you have equals new. This is why whenever you created a new scanner, you had to create the scanner, ask the question, and then in the next line import that word because you called on the scanner before and then you actually created that new object from the scanner in the next line. All right, go ahead and save your work, and you're ready to go on to the second video for lesson 16.